Hi, everyone. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome to the home of ladies professional bowling here in Rockford, Illinois. And working with me once again this week is Leila Wagner. And Leila, a great place, I guess, for a historic evening. As far as Robin Romeo is concerned, she'll become the second player ever to win over $100,000. Now, you've bowled a lot of years with Robin, and her mental and physical game have really come together here this season.
Oh, they have, Denny. And I think a key for Robin this year was that she was able to come out in 1989 and so strong. She came out and captured 2 of the first 3 events, then was able to capture the Seagram's U.S. Open, and that gave her a $40,000 first place prize. So with only a quarter of the season gone, she was well over the halfway mark to breaking the $100,000 record and Lisa Wagner's record.
Leila, I guess if you look at Robin Romeo's game, you have to think about consistency and dedication, and she's very even-keeled.
Oh, she is, and I think that's the key to Robin and professional bowling. You've got to be out here with an even temper and not let things disturb you, and I think that's a great asset to Robin's game. She never lets anything bother her.
And, of course, the dream matchup here this evening, if Lisa Wagner wins a couple of matches, she'll end up in the championship game. So the lady who set the record last year will bowl the one that's trying to set the new one this year. Well,
I think that would be really a great thing to happen tonight, because Lisa Wagner is still out here trying to prove that she is the reigning queen, and nobody can really take that away from her. And I think it would just be a great match to see those 2 players in the final round.
Well, Robin Romeo has finished second here twice in Rockford. She'd love to win this evening and, of course, set the all-time record. But before we get to the championship game, we've got match number 1 coming up next, featuring Stacy Ryder and Dee Dee Davidson, the LPBT on ESPN. Stay tuned. The enthusiastic and aggressive Stacy Ryder.
Exactly. We've seen this lady on the show just once before, and she was very aggressive as she came out. However, she missed 2 spares, and she said, you know, Leila, the next time I got up to shoot, that 4-pin and the 10-pin, I picked them up. So she does have a good sense of humor anyway. Well,
at least she gets to start with an easy 9-pin spare here, the 5-pin left standing. As we watch the players practice, they move basically from the outside angle in a little bit as the oil carried down. So we'll find out where they all decide to play the championship round pair here this evening. Lanes 9 and 10. And no problem with the 5-pin. First good look at Dee Dee Davidson, who is chatting with National Tournament Director Fran Wolf.
Well, Dee Dee was unaware that she is allowed 1 re-rack without asking Fran Wolf. However, like I said, she was unaware of that. So Fran said, yeah, go ahead and re-rack it.
All right. Easiest way to get a strike in my book. I used to do that quite frequently.
You can see if they're all on spot. From our angle, they look on spot.
Very talented left-hander, has an explosive delivery. She gets the ball rolling. She can strike with anybody. She comes out and goes flush on the right-hand lane.
She sure can, Denny. And in the 5th, 6th, and 7th game last night in the finals, she shot 802 for those 3 games. So she got on. Take a look at her game. A basic 4-step delivery. Just really gets the ball pushed away soon, which is nice. It puts her in time. She gets to the line. Look how low she is in the follow-through.
Key this week, she said, was kind of throwing the ball through the lane. Don't lift up on it because I got an overreaction when I did that. So I'm just trying to stretch out a little bit, get it down the lane, and leaves the soft 7-pin.
That was the key this week, Denny. The lanes were very, very dry. We were on a short oil condition, and I think there wasn't a lot of oil. Even in the early blocks, the morning blocks, where you have a tendency to see a little bit more oil, the lanes were hooking quite a bit. And the players that really hit the ball were getting that over-under reaction. So the players that made it tried to adjust their game, try not to hit it as much, and get it down into the lane and long.
And, of course, the consensus tonight of the finalists on the television pair, this pair is tighter than they were throughout the week, so that presents some other problems as well.
Well, that's right. They've been bowling on the lanes for 42 games. They've been trying to do one thing, and now they're a little bit tighter. They still said they do have that hook spot, so I think they will be hooking a little bit for him.
Stacy trying to go much more direct on lane 10 and pulls it right across the head pin.
They really hit around the 3rd arrow that time. Now, Stacy, when she got into the finals, as most players did, moved out to the outside line. The first day of the tournament seemed more players were playing around the inside line. And then it seemed that the play became more outside.
And paused for a moment, but a big smile after she picks up the 610.
Take a look at Stacy's start. Now, she starts with her left foot forward. Once again, a 4-step approach, but she uses that first step as a push-away step. Long, long steps, long slide.
A little better roll on this shot, and a good reaction. So Stacy Ryder strikes in the third.
Got the ball out a little bit farther, more towards the second arrow that time.
Dee Dee Davidson, one of 2 left-handers to survive the cut to the top 24. Aleta Sill also making the finals this week. She's had a lot of success in this event.
Yes, she has.
Third consecutive show.
She likes it here in Rockford, Illinois.
Obviously. That one rolls up a little too high, and the big 4 presents itself. That's big-time problems.
It is a problem, Denny. Also, you're looking at a 6 count now on a spare, so she's lost quite a bit of wood, as we say, in count. Going for the 2 pins.
So the first open in match number 1. And with Stacy Ryder currently on a strike in the third, could be a pivotal point here in the early stages.
A lot of splits this week, Denny. If the player let up on their speed just a little bit, the ball seemed to hook right through the beak.
Interesting you mentioned that, because Dee Dee said, I probably have thrown the ball harder this week velocity-wise than any other week the entire year.
Well, that's exactly right. And the players that did make the top 24, I know I didn't. And in qualifying, I sat back and was out of breath just after trying to throw it that hard.
Comes back with a big expo in the 4th. So the left-hand lane has been kind to Dee Dee Davidson, but she trails by 14 to that young lady right there from La Habra, California. We'll be back with more of match number 1. But the rest of the field, the Isla struggled to get to the telecast.
Very unusual, Denny. After the second round, none of the other 4 players were even in the top 24. Now, the third round started the second day of qualifying, so there was a bit of change. They didn't change the condition intentionally, but we did see a change in the condition, and the play moved a little bit more outside. It was a little bit different, and that made the change in the players.
And if you make the adjustments, you make the finals and the telecast. A little more speed, this one through the nose, so 2 consecutive shots on the right-hand lane, basically left of the head pin.
Stacy getting up, trying to get that double. She said that's one problem she has. She gets the momentum going, really wanting the double, and has a tendency to throw it through the beak. So she needs to really let it out when she's working on that second strike.
Stacy 0 for 2 thus far in the championship round this season. Same spare as she had in the second. Another conversion. And she continues to lead by 14.
Stacy Ryder stands 5 foot, Denny. She's very short, but throws 15-pound bowling ball. And started bowling at the tender age of 6.
And she's 21 now, so that's 15 years of experience already chalked up, and really one of the outstanding young pros on the LPBT Tour. A little trip of the 4-pin that time, so she seems to have a little area to the left on lane 9, but not on lane 10.
Here we have a shot at the strike here on lane 9. A little high, but she does get the trip off the 4. And she'll give you some reaction.
Other than the 6-pin, the same result as she had the last trip. So at this point in time, Stacy Ryder getting a break because Dee Dee Davidson is really having problems on the championship round pair.
And yet, Denny, on lane 10, Dee Dee opened up with just a perfect strike in the first frame. So it looked like she was lined up on lane 10 coming out of the gate, but then her last 2 shots right through the nose. So, you know, it could just be that she is letting up on the speed a little bit. Here's the first ball right through the nose, as you're going to see how quickly it makes a turn to the right. And the result, 4-7-10.
So it's either change equipment or maybe try and change the angle of the wrist to cut down on the hook. 10th appearance on national television, and it's not been a good one thus far. And boy, the left-hand lane she seems to have dialed in, but how many times do you see the pros strike on one lane and really have a struggle on the other?
Well, we definitely saw it last week, as we mentioned, the players liked the left lane better than the right lane. So see if Stacy Ryder can get up now and figure out lane 10.
Stacy having already doubled the earnings from a year ago, and I have a feeling that in years to come, this young lady is going to make some money out here on the national tour. Excellent adjustment on the right-hand lane, and there's the key double for her, the first one of the match.
It really is. Dee having the 2 open, and Stacy just jumping on the chance to increase her lead. The lower angle of her last strike. And it was perfect.
Yep, didn't take them long. 15-9 in match play this week. Really bowled solid last night when the heat was on. I think that's how you judge a player's character. Through the nose, and she'll take the 6-10 and walk away happily.
Well, she was up against Carol Norman. Carol Norman also shooting for the show. It was a very tight match going into the last game. All night, 70 pins separated 4th through 9th with only 2 games to go.
Donna Adamick and Lori Nichols also had excellent opportunities and just didn't quite get to the top 5. So it was a real rush last night to make the final 5. As Stacy Ryder takes the 6-pin right off the 10, and Dee Davidson decides at that point in time, maybe I still have a chance here in match number 1. We'll be back with more right after this. Edward 446 ESPN number tonight. What are your biggest problems when bowling? Having a consistent approach, using the lane targets properly, adjusting to lane conditions, converting the easy spares. Obviously, those are all problems that I have in my game, and if you're interested in finding out what everybody else is doing wrong, it's 95 cents per minute, and of course, the touch-tone phones only will qualify, and every 50th caller receives a beautiful 10th anniversary ESPN banner. And actually, it's not every 50th caller. We're really boosting things here this evening because of the number of calls, I'm told by our producer, George Smith. Every 20th caller receives that banner. So certainly something that you'd want to go out and do. And Leila, if you want to excuse yourself and go to the phone and make a call, just let me know.
I could tell them a few of my problems out there, too, right?
So you're not supposed to tell them your problems.
Oh.
You're supposed to choose the problem.
Oh, choose the problem.
And
All 4?
How many times do you see a professional, Leila, after another opponent makes a mistake, come back with a strike, and that's been her bad lane?
Exactly. Now, she did strike here, so she knew she could strike on lane 10. She just had to keep the velocity up. She may have made a slight adjustment in the angle. It's a little difficult for us to tell where we're standing in the line, being a left-hander, to see exactly where she is throwing the ball.
Could cut the lead to 2, and she does as she rips the rack, and this one is really turned all the way around.
Well, we saw Stacy Ryder get up and double when Dee left the split. Stacy chops the 6 off the 10. Dee comes up with a turkey, so a professional never gives up.
Plenty of speed, but this will not hold the pocket, and Stacy Ryder finds herself with a spare opportunity in the 8th frame. She needed a strike there.
Yes, she did. Coming down in the last few frames of the game, a strike there in the 8th frame and possibly one in the 9th would have really put the pressure on Dee.
And right through the middle she goes. So an opportunity now, if she strikes out, to shoot 214.
Which would force Dee to continue to strike. So she definitely wants this one here in the 9th frame. Force Dee to double to lock her out.
She hung up a little bit in that one, and she paid the price, leaving the 6-7. So this one has basically gone full circle, 359 degrees.
It really has. Since the 6th frame, we just did a turnaround. Here, once again, the ball breaking a little too sharply towards the left. Left herself with a 6-10, a 6-7.
Gonna give it a run, and just misses. 6-pin sliding over, and by a fraction, missing taking out the 10, but it's an open in the 9th. Now her best possible score would be 191, so Dee Davidson now went from down by about 30 to plus 11. Funny roll on that one. Oh, what an excellent shot.
Just a beautiful shot there in the 9th frame by Dee. Now, it was Dee's choice to either finish the match on lane 9, and apparently she has chosen to do this. She must have known in practice that she liked lane 9, or she just didn't want the pressure on her at the end of the game. Stacy Ryder will finish up this match.
I think that's usually the best choice, isn't it? Try and finish, post a score.
That is the best, unless you find that you really have a variance in the lanes, and one is definitely better than the other for you.
So with a spare and a strike, it would be 201. Spare here, and Stacy Ryder is done. Sounded like she dropped it a little bit.
Well, she's trying to kill it, Denny. When the lanes are hooking like that, you don't want to lift too much. She tried to kill it, just kind of dump it into the lane there and not give it too many fingers in it.
Yeah, we could pronounce that one deceased, I think. That was a two-hopper to shortstop. Got the job done, though.
It did.
Boy, what a turnaround for her. Opened in the 3rd and the 5th. And pieced together a 4-bagger to grab the momentum and move on to game number 2. Where's the messenger? There it is. So a strike for Dee, a high five from Stacy, and Stacy's one of the few players out here, I think, who can still smile after losing on national television. It's just part of her personality.
It is, and Stacy told me before that, she was coming out here the last 2 times, and she was just satisfied to go out and make the finals. But tonight she really felt aggressive and wanted to come out and go for the win, and I know she's a little bit disappointed, but she is able to smile.
Still looking for that ever-elusive first win on the national tour, on the national show. So for Stacy Ryder, it's $2,000, or make that $2,100. But coming up next, Lisa Wagner and Dee Davidson. Lisa Wagner finishing up her practice tosses here on the championship round pair of 9 and 10. Right now discussing what lane she will choose to finish on. And so apparently what we will have now is Dee Davidson starting the match. Match number 2 here. She's already eliminated Stacy Ryder 201 to 181, and she'll start on what we feel is probably her better lane, lane 9.
She's starting on that lane, Denny. However, this means she has to finish on lane 10, and there may be a few negative thoughts with the splits that she did leave on that lane previously.
Perfect shot, and opens up with a solid 7-pin. Dee of our 5 television finalists with the highest average on the television pair, an average of 218. The composite average for our 5 players tonight, 199.3. Dee's
only title in 1989 came earlier this February in San Dimas, California. That was her 2nd title of her career. She was able to capture her first title in 1988 in the Ebonite Fireboat Classic.
Down in Fort Pierce?
Down in Fort Pierce.
Fort Pierce, Florida. The reigning player of the year and the all-time leading money winner. Nice little arc shot, and she starts off with a strike.
In the original $100,000 game, as we've mentioned before, Denny, a 5-step approach, holds the ball in the first step. Just look at the wrist position coming through the shot here. Great knee bend, super follow through. Lisa's able to play a little farther outside than Stacy was. She can throw the ball longer and harder and keep it on line.
This one rolls up, and a perfect shot. So Lisa Wagner out quickly with a double.
I think Dee Davidson, knowing she has her hands full against Lisa tonight. Dee has never won coming up from the 4th position. However, she has finished 2nd. Tries
to make the adjustment on the right-hand lane, and the the 6-8 stands.
A bad break leaving the 6-8, similar to the 4-9 split for the right-handers. The ball breaking in very hard. Didn't take out the 8-pin. Going for it. Nice shot.
Absolutely perfect. So Dee Davidson extricates herself from trouble here in the second.
An excellent conversion, Denny. When the lanes are hooking a little bit more, it's a little easier to pick this up because the ball is going off to the right. 6-pin slides right into the 8. Can't do it any better.
Nope. Got to give her a bit of a boost, too. Even with the conversion, she trails by 12, and it looks like Lisa's got a pretty good shot, so no time like the present to start striking.
Well, 3 really pretty good hits by Dee. Solid 7, a 6-8, a little high, and then that strike there.
Lisa Wagner never spending much time getting ready. She pretty much has it dialed in. She knows what she wants to do by the time she gets up to the ball return. That's good, very good lesson for league bowlers throughout the country.
Well, tremendous concentration by Lisa Wagner.
I can't remember the last time I've seen her swing the ball as much as she is on the right-hand lane. That ball's covering 15 boards.
Well, that's kind of the joke we made this week. Players like Lisa and Lori Nichols were hooking the ball. And you know the lanes are dry when players that are normally playing very straight are actually crossing boards. You can imagine what the Leanne Barretts are doing, and she was unable to cash this week, so she had to cross too many boards.
Almost a rollout shot of sorts as the ball just kind of rolls up and stops in the pocket, leaves the soft 7-pin.
Well, Lisa's playing the extreme dry area of the lane, and what happens is the ball gets into its revolution so quickly that it almost does roll out, or on occasion it will roll out prior to hitting the pocket.
It's not a bad shot either, because sometimes the carry is better with a rollout shot than it is with one that's really turning. So we'll take a break here in match number 2. She leads by 21. We'll be right back. Easily one of the most talented journalists in the bowling industry, managing editor Jim Dressel of the Bowlers Journal, presenting Lisa with the 1988 Bowlers Journal Cup. And aside from being a marvelous journalist, he's a Kenny Rogers lookalike as well.
He sure is, and a good friend of mine, always giving me nice press in the Bowlers Journal.
One thing he told me was there's no way that he sings like Kenny does, though. So I think we can probably believe that.
Dee looking for the double.
And trailing by 21 at this stage. Needs to step up the pace, and she does as she kicks out the 6-pin.
Just exactly like you said, Denny. She's going to trip out the 6-pin. Little high. That head pin did its job, though. Came off the wall. Actually took the 6 and the 10.
Strike here cuts the lead to just 1. Heavy roll and a heavy finish. So Dee Davidson's come back 2 matches in a row, Leila.
Well, that's what it takes, Denny, to win a title. And she has 2 titles. She knows what it feels like to win. And she's won quite a few matches on television. So you've got to be able to strike when you have to.
Dee is 5-1 here in 1989 in match play on television. So you're right. She's bowling with a great deal of confidence. Trying to hang on to the lead. That ball was left of target from the very beginning, and so Lisa Wagner finds herself with a minor disaster here in the 5th.
Not a clean release here, Denny. She is left of target. She did not get out of it clean, hung up in it, and it was a disaster. So that really opened up the doors for Dee Davidson.
Well, a couple of moments ago, Dee Davidson was really struggling in the opening stages of this match. Picked up the 6-8 to kind of hang tough, and now she works on a turkey, and she leads by 15.
Well, Lisa, coming up from the number 3 position, has only 3 titles out of her 23 professional titles. So she hasn't been that successful from the number 3 position.
But she has fond memories of Rockford. She won her first professional title here in 1983. What a great start that was. Better speed, waves for it to kind of hang in there. The 10-pin wiggling back and forth. And you can tell one thing, the pins have flat bottoms here.
You have to hit them to get them, I guess.
Yeah, hard too.
Should have really gone. She waves it off. The 6-pin hit it. Disappointed that it didn't fall.
Trying to come back after the open with a strike, which is what you really have to do at this level to maintain pace. Now she'll have to sit down and cast her fate into the hands of Dee Davidson. If Dee continues to strike, Lisa's in trouble.
Appearing that lane 10 is hooking more for Dee. She needs to keep the velocity up and continue striking.
Plenty of speed there.
Perfect shot.
Her mistake there is not to set it short on the right-hand lane. It'll hook.
That's exactly right. You really need to project the ball, in Dee's case, to the left and hard. Lisa's case, she needs to project it right.
When I talked to her just prior to the telecast, I said, Dee, do you have a little tug area if you throw it a little bit to the right? And she said,
No, they don't. There was no hold this week, Denny. It was amazing to see how deep the players' feet were and where they were targeting out on the lane.
Passenger comes over this time, and so Dee Davidson with a 5-bagger has taken a commanding lead. A 35-pin advantage, and when you throw shots like this, it's easy to see why you're basically trying to rid yourself of the player of the year.
Nice tournament this week. We'd like to see all our events at $50,000 or more. We're getting there.
Well, the Hammer people have just been a real godsend for the LPBT Tour. They've been behind the ladies since day one, and one of the outstanding sponsors for the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour.
Yes, they have, and very friendly group of gentlemen all on hand this evening.
A little better speed that time. Got the ball a little more to the right, but no strike for Lisa Wagner, who came out of the gate. Strike, strike, strike.
Really, the errant shot when she left the 4-6-7-9, Denny, she did not get out of it clean. She pulled it right, or excuse me, pulled it left, and it didn't hold.
You know, so many times, too, that was a shot coming out of a commercial break, and if you slow down just a little bit with your speed of your feet, you come up with that kind of a problem. Spare up in the 7th. Dee Davidson on a roll at this point. If she would survive this match, she would take on 26-year-old Carolyn Hodge, the winner of the semifinal game, then will bowl against Robin Romeo of Van Nuys, California, the top seed this week after 42 games. Well, that might have been her best shot right there. Just slashed the rack, and with any luck whatsoever, if she takes this off the sheet, she could still shoot 232.
And Dee would have to actually stay clean.
The ball rolling, the picture of confidence right now. Dee Davidson of Southgate, Michigan.
Young age of 22, 5th year on tour. Is just able to string the strikes together tonight. That's the 6th one in a row.
Leila, what about the advantage of being the only southpaw on the telecast? When you get lined up, it's got to help.
Well, we mentioned that last week when Aleta Sill was the only southpaw on the show, and that's exactly right. Nobody's on Dee's side but herself. She's able to continue play on the lane, and nobody's wearing out her condition.
She's wearing out the pocket, though, as she continues to strike, and she is in a position right now where she leads by 56 pins, so Lisa is in a must-strike, must-strike-out situation, basically. And that basically is good night for Lisa Wagner. Boy, it's tough when you stand up in the 6th, or I should say the 9th frame, and if you don't strike, you're done for the evening. But that's basically what has happened. Dee Davidson will advance now to the semifinal game, and boy, isn't it nice to kind of coast in there.
I tell you, she just turned that match right around. Like you said, when she picked up that 6-8, it could have given her a little momentum, and a lot of times it does. You say, hey, I picked up a split. I can do it. She's been down both times in both matches and has been able to turn it right around.
Lisa right now just basically talking to herself, but she'll now have earnings in excess of $63,000 here in 1989, and she is still a solid number 2 in earnings. Better shot, but doesn't quite get the result that she wants. I think the one thing that makes Lisa Wagner the player that she is she is able to go out and give her all, and if it doesn't work out, hey, forget about it and let's go to next week.
Well, that's exactly right. She has a lot of things to be thankful for. She's really had a successful career. She's been the 3-time Bowler of the Year, and it's only her 10th year out on tour. 6-time Bowler's Journal All-American, 5-time WIBC All-American. So she's just, had a phenomenal career so far, and she's got so many years ahead of her.
Well, that's the thing. You mentioned some of the accolades, and then you look down at perhaps the most important of all. She's only 28 years old.
That's right. With 23 pro titles. Mm-hmm. She wants to go down in history as the best woman bowler ever, and I tell you, she's well on her way if she hasn't done that already.
I know one thing. She's going to be in the lead paragraph. Now, whether she gets the title or not, we'll have to see. But Lisa Wagner, with a 4th place finish this week, a game of 190, bows to Dee Davidson, who is just striking at will right now in lanes 9 and 10 here at Cherry Bowl.
Dee's high game on television is 279. Right now she has a possible 278.
Her high game this week was 284, and she takes the 10 out, but the 7 forgets to fall. So Dee Davidson right now in an opportune position to take perhaps a couple of more matches and go all the way from the bottom to the top. Doesn't happen very often.
Well, when she gets lined up and throws strikes, she can do it. Like I mentioned earlier, last night she shot 265, 253, and 284 consecutively in the 5th, 6th, and 7th games. She really came from nowhere to make the television show.
It's amazing how that final 8 games of match play, a player gets off and wins a couple of close games and gets a little bit loose, starts rolling the ball. The next thing you know, they win all 8 or 7 out of 8, shoot some big numbers, and make the telecast.
Well, our next player coming up, Carolyn Hodge, did the exact same thing.
Yep. Won 14 of 16 matches, including all 8 last night in the final round. So we'll have to see if she can continue the streak. Lisa Wagner finishes up 4th, collects $2,500. Next in line, 26-year-old Carolyn Hodge. Dee Davidson has the hot hand when we return. The Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour will have 23 tournaments aired on ESPN, a new 2-year multi-agreement between the two organizations. I know John Falzone, the president of the LPBT, is very excited to continue the association with ESPN.
And the ladies are very excited to continue to be on ESPN.
Carolyn Hodge, not a household name. Came out of nowhere this week. And that's the reason why.
Well, Carolyn was really tough last night and yesterday, Denny, like you mentioned, winning 14 out of 16 match games, and that really gave her momentum to continue up there. She was 5th going into the final round. She was able to get within 50 pins of Robin Romeo last night to almost capture the lead.
Through the nose and a break for Dee Davidson. It's been a while since she has missed on that right-hand lane.
Well, sitting down, once again, the commercial break, taking a little time, it looked like she really slowed up on that shot. And you hate to be repetitious and say the same thing, but a lot of times that's all a player is doing is just a little bit of ball speed is so crucial.
Almost took the 4 off to 7, but the conversion nonetheless. Waiting in the wings, Robin Romeo. Boy, if you look at her average in the championship round this year coming into this, it was 251. She bowled brilliantly in San Dimas to win her 2nd title. And she's kind of picked up the pace tonight with a 256, 190 win in game number 2 over Lisa Wagner.
I think Dee Dee's starting to like television.
Yeah, the bright lights do not bother her in any way, shape, or form as she strikes in the 2nd to get things started.
Well, Dee Dee also mentioned that Bill Hall and John Fantini from Hammer have been working with her a little bit. She's had a few problems in her game, and they've been able to help her and straighten her out.
Very basic game here for Carolyn Hodge. Doesn't get into too much trouble. Pretty much going to hit the pocket most of the time. And she comes out of the gates with a double, and an excellent start for her.
Carolyn Hodge with a four-step approach, a very low push away, Denny. Just gets the ball into motion. Her head's low at the line. She comes through the ball, though. Doesn't do a lot to it. Not a lot of lift and a lot of rotation, which was kind of her condition this week. You didn't want to turn it too much. If you did, you got into trouble. Now, she struck out, was very impressive, struck out to make the top 24, qualified 24th, and made it to second position. The only other player who has won from that 24th position was Jeannie Maiden.
So 3 strikes for Carolyn Hodge, who looks like anything but nervous at this stage.
She said she was a little nervous earlier, but she felt pretty good tonight. She has won one regional title, Worldwide Women's Organization out in California area.
I asked her if she was surprised at her second place qualifying in this one, and she said, yes, very much. She was honest. She said, I like the position, though. It's kind of fun to be here.
Well, when your top career finish is 14, qualifying second is always just going to be a surprise.
Better speed control on lane 10 for Dee Dee Davidson, who quickly doubles and now trails by 10. If she strikes here, we're at even Steven in the early stages here of the semifinal game.
Well, so far, Dee Dee has seemed to like to be behind early in the match.
Yeah, she operates pretty good for that position.
Yes, she does. Oh, and a good shot, throwing the 4-pin right around the 7.
There you see, I think, the little gesture that she might have hit up on the ball as opposed to hitting through it and getting the roll. She said every time that she started to hook the ball a little more, hit up on it this week, she left the corner pins.
Little ball driving in a little late, a little hard, causing the 4 to go around it.
No problem with the spare. Carolyn Hodge, the newcomer, leads in this one, the semifinal game, by 11. We'll be back with more right after these messages.
6 years old, started bowling at age 11.
And tickles the 7-pin, but doesn't quite get it to fall. And she is definitely an up-and-in type player, Leila.
Yes, Denny. Like I said, she was able to play out quite a bit when the lanes were hooking a little bit too much. She was able just to keep the ball on line. It wasn't doing overreacting for her and just coming right up and in, setting into the pocket.
Hopes to bowl 2 of the next 3 tournaments, and based on what happens here, she's projecting that she's going to bowl full-time at 1990 on the LPBT Tour.
Well, a little success always gets in your blood and makes you want to come out again.
Well, I think the whole key, too, is once you come out and you realize you can compete and you can get to the final 5 and perhaps win a tournament, it obviously spurns your confidence, and you realize, hey, you can play out here.
Well, Caroline has a real nice job. She's a medical records technician. She says she trades around to get the days off. And the ladies she trades with have been very helpful.
Good speed and acceleration, and the key this week, she said, was dropping her ball position, getting the ball into the swing a little bit sooner, and boy, her timing has just fallen right into place. And what better time than to chat about John Wonders, the president of Fab-Ball, and of course Dennis Baldwin, the president of Fab-Ball Maryland. Dennis sponsoring our tournament earlier this year in Baltimore, and those two guys have a lot of fun when they're out here on the road.
Oh, they do. You know, they've been out here with the women for so many years that I think they're part of the family.
Yep. It's kind of like old home week when those two guys show up. Ooh, plenty of room. This one comes racing back, and if she does have any area, Leila, it's area to the left.
Exactly. She threw that one way out. This ball probably got out to about the 3 board at one point. Came racing back. It took a right turn.
Strike here, and the match is all even. Good hit, just couldn't quite get the 7 out.
The last attempt on that lane was the ringing 7. That time the 4-pin laying a little bit in the channel, so she made the adjustment for the ringing 7 and left herself with a flat 7.
And it goes on and on.
The key to carry.
That's it. If you could ever figure that out on a consistent basis,
you'd be a millionaire.
Leila, you could basically sit back and watch as Dee Davidson nearly runs out of lane on the 7-pin conversion.
And a big smile. Thank you. She doesn't want to miss a spare here. Not when you're trailing the match by 10. Carolyn Hodge from Carmichael, California, near Sacramento.
You heard the thumping of the thumb hole, and almost looks like she's throwing a full roller out there.
Not a clean release on that shot either, Denny. Just kind of dumped it, as you might say. Really didn't get through the ball well.
Pressure starting to mount a little bit?
Well, she did it last time on lane 10 as well. The ball left her with a 7-pin, but she really didn't get through it good, and I think that's a key. I'm sure pressure is mounting. I don't care who you are, your first time on television, you have to feel the pressure.
245 is converted.
Here we can see a look at that first ball. Now her wrist is almost bent in her backswing.
I think what's unusual about that is normally the ball and the slide should hit at about the same time. Watch the next time. Her ball is ahead of her foot when she gets to the line.
Also, her thumb didn't come out on that particular shot, and that's why the ball didn't make it come out prior to the fingers. It was almost like everything came out at one time.
That's not a good sign. A little better release here, better speed. I think she feels more comfortable on the left-hand lane. So a strike for Carolyn Hodge in the 7th. And she continues to lead this by 10. And when we return, we'll have the conclusion of the semi-final game. Hodge hedging her bets right now at Cherry Bowl in Illinois. Fingers and the thumb, and how critical it is at the release point. Let's take a look now at Carolyn Hodge.
Well, this was the bad shot, Denny, that she made, where everything basically came out at one time, not getting enough lift and rotation. Now, this is her second shot where she got the strike. The thumb is out of the ball first. Now the fingers are going to rotate the ball around, and that's the key. Most all professionals in their release, their thumb is going to come out first and their fingers are going to rotate the ball.
You want to watch that happen, just check out the release right here of Dee Davidson, because she really gets the fingers on the ball.
Well, a lot of amateurs wonder, well, they go in and they have their conventional ball. You can't do it very easily with a conventional ball. Most all professionals throw a fingertip ball. It's designed, it's drilled so that your thumb comes out first and then your fingers rotate it.
Down by 10, but a critical strike in the 7th.
Here we can see if we can see Dee Dee's release as her thumb is going to pop out first. And watch her fingers really rotate through the ball.
Up in the 8th and looking to tie this match up. Well, she hasn't had much luck on lane 9, Leila. 3 consecutive 7-pins.
She's making the slight adjustments because they're all different hits, Denny, so you know she's trying to carry, and that's one of the toughest things to do, is try to make that adjustment for that 7-pin or a 10-pin for a right-hander. Wanting to stay close in the match, at least convert the spare.
And you'd have to give the edge to Davidson right now, at least experience-wise, if it does go into the 10th frame. And there is the chairman of the board of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour, John Summer, and his lovely wife Nancy, on hand here this evening for the telecast. And that guy has done more for ladies professional bowling than anybody in the entire country. He has really hung in there with this group, and now that things have turned around, I think he's feeling much more excited about the prospects in the future.
Well, you bet. They were behind us when the times were tough, and really believed in the women and believed in professional bowling.
And right now, this lady is believing in herself. A key double in the 8th. Boy, it doesn't get much better than that. If she strikes here, she's got Davidson on the ropes and stunned.
I really like her release better on lane 9, Denny. She's really coming around the ball, being very aggressive on lane 9. Lane 10, it looks like she's just a little tentative.
leads by 30, and when she chatted with me before the telecast, she said, Denny, it's almost like I just feel fate is on my side this week. I was out of the finals and got there the last game, and now I qualified number 2, and I just have a great feeling about this week. And Davidson bounces back with a solid strike in the 9th, but it might be too little too late.
Well, Dee Dee definitely needing to strike out for a possible 229 game. She would force Carolyn Hodge to at least spare.
If she strikes out, she shoots 229, and I think you're right. It would cause Carolyn Hodge to at least mark in the 10th frame to advance to the title match. But first things first.
Number 1. Now she finally carried on lane 9, so 3 consecutive 7-pins. But Dee Dee's virtually been in the pocket every frame but the very first one.
Trying to hang tough and extend, and she rips the rack, so she throws the second one as well. You have to give credit to Dee Dee Davidson. She's done anything but give up in this match.
Really coming through strong, Denny. Now, count is very important. Dee Dee really needing a strike here to keep the count high.
Trying to finish out on a high note, and how about it? Doesn't quite happen. A game of 228 and a beautiful performance late in the match to come back and apply some pressure.
Really could have been 10 in a row there for Dee Dee had she been able to get out a few of those 7-pins.
Carolyn Hodge, there you see it, needs a mark of any kind here in the 10th frame to move on.
Oh, nice shot. Nice clutch shot, as you might say.
Well, she has convinced me, because that's about as good a shot as you can make in that situation the first time being there.
You bet. Now she got right around this ball. Good execution. The 6-pin slapping out the 10. And it's always easier to get a strike on the first ball when you know you only need a spare, because those spares can be a little tough when that's what you need.
She hasn't left many of them here this evening. Been a striking machine. A little more speed, that's a little higher in the pocket, and now the split comes up, but it doesn't make any difference, and Carolyn doesn't exactly show a great deal of emotion, does she?
No, she doesn't. Could be her husband is in the Army, just got out of the Army, so maybe there's a little, they don't show much emotion, do they, those Army men?
Dee Dee Davidson finishes up 3rd. A solid performance for her this evening. Games of 201 and 256 and 228, but she will not advance in this championship. Is she going to try and make this or what? Carolyn Hodge with a beautiful display, her opening match on national television, a 245 to 228 victory over Dee Dee Davidson. So now there are only 2 left here at Cherry Bowl. The top seed Robin Romeo, who will surpass the $100,000 barrier, and newcomer Carolyn Hodge. Well, normally the check is in the mail, but not this week. It was Brenda Falzone, of course, passing along the Pro-Am winner's check to Claire Glover here. They had a marvelous Pro-Am, and always an exciting part of any LPBT Tour event. The amateurs getting a chance to compete a little bit with the pros and meet them and get a chance to find out what goes on at a national stop. Robin Romeo finishing up her tosses at this point in time, and so now there are only 2 left, just Carolyn Hodge and Robin Romeo, and so Hodge will start the championship game on the left-hand lane.
Well, I was very surprised that last game Carolyn actually chose to finish the match, Denny, and that was her choice. I wonder if she really realized what she did. Sometimes you don't know. It gets a little confusing who starts and who finishes.
I've been doing it 4 years, and I still get confused, I'll tell you that. Well, the pressure of the championship game perhaps changes that toss. First errant shot that we've seen from Hodge.
Well, also, Denny, now she had a little bit of a break. She did not go on over to lane 8, which the players are allowed to do, and just continue to throw and stay loose. She wasn't able. She didn't do that, and you know, your hand changes a little bit. Did not get out of that ball clean at all, and actually pulled it.
Shooting at the 6, stretches out, no problem there. And earlier I had a chance to chat with Robin Romeo and ask her if she was feeling more pressure at winning the title or at breaking the all-time record.
Now that I broke the $100,000, no matter what I do, there is a little pressure, but I feel more relaxed because I do have the $100,000 in my pocket.
Did you ever think at any time, Robin, in your career that you would surpass the $100,000 mark?
No, in fact, when Lisa did it last year, I thought that record would last a long time, and I can't believe that I'm the one who has a chance to break it.
Well, she has been believing in herself ever since the very start of the season when Leila mentioned she won 2 of the first 3 events and then captured the U.S. Open. Pretty good offering in the opening shot. Leaves the 9-pin and no problem with the conversion.
Well, no, Denny, and the key for Robin this year is when she comes out on the telecast, she's been coming out very aggressively, and she said occasionally now she finished second, so she was able to really compare it. She finished second, the second tournament of the year versus first in the first tournament, and what she told me was that she just came out and it didn't flow right. You know, she came out aggressively when she won, and I think that's going to be her key tonight.
3 wins, 3 losses throughout her career from the top seed position, so she's batting .500.
Her best finish in Rockford, she's finished second twice in 1982 and also 1985. So she's fared fairly well here in Rockford.
Averaged 3 pins higher than any other player in this tournament, basically, too. So started in 7th place and then led the rest of the way. That little backup shot at the 10-pin that's been so effective this season.
Really has bowled superbly all week. She came off and she made the top 24 last week and withdrew in order to let a leg injury heal.
A little bit of a slight muscle pull, and she said a little bit of rest and it feels much better this week. Up and through the nose, and Carolyn Hodge opens up more than likely here in the second, and you can just see her game is much different here in the championship game as to compare to the semifinal.
Well, giving her the benefit of the doubt on lane 9 where she had the break, that shot she definitely let up on her speed and pulled it.
And of course, Carolyn realizes she's bowling Robin Romeo as well. Anybody else, and maybe she figures, hey, I've got better than a 50-50 chance to win this match. After you bowl so brilliantly in a semifinal game, there's always a little bit of a letdown, and then all of a sudden you realize, hey, I'm in a position to win my first professional title.
Well, this is only her 11th event that she's participated in it as well. She's, you know, not a full-time touring player, and she's the 5th rookie to make the television show this year. So we've seen a lot of rookies come up and perform really well on television.
Well, I think it gives you an idea, too, of the talent of the fields now attracted on the LPBT Tour. It just keeps getting better and better. And a little better shot there in the 3rd, but one more time leaves the 6-pin.
Better ball speed that time. You can see the reaction of the ball as it came in. A little too hard, though, and she left the 6-pin. Carolyn enjoys biking and also weight training, which has been very helpful. And a lot of the women players out here on tour, Robin Romeo is into nutrition and weight training as well. Building the leg muscles are very, very important in bowling, especially for women.
A 13-pin lead now for Robin Romeo, trying to win title number 5 this season and number 12 in her career. Pretty good record here in the Midwest. She tried to rip that one a little bit, circled it, and left the bucket. That one was in trouble from the time it left her hand.
That was an aggressive shot by Robin. She really got up there quick and threw it very hard. Really tried to rip it, as you said, and it just didn't quite make it back.
Average on the television pair this week for Robin Romeo, 204.5.
Robin's game very compact, Denny. Just does not get into trouble. Seen her win from playing the extreme outside line to playing third arrow. She's just so versatile. She's able to stay right in there no matter if she needs to hook the ball or try to go straight up.
I think what I enjoy most about watching her play throughout the week is that her attitude, her demeanor on the lanes, very seldom ever changes, good or bad. She just, every shot is going to make her shot and make the adjustments off of it. And I think that's one of the reasons why she's been so successful. Doesn't let a whole lot bother her.
Well, she hasn't missed a cut or the top 24 finals since 1985, which is really phenomenal for any player to do.
Joe DiMaggio type numbers there. Of course, Roth went 56 tournaments in a row cashing, but since 1985, she hasn't missed the top 24. That's astounding.
It really is when you consider the competition that's out here on the women's tour and the various lane conditions and the travel and everything else. That is amazing.
Well, it's turned out to be an all-spare affair thus far here in the championship game, and Robin Romeo leads by 7. Let's see if Carolyn Hodge can mount a bit of a charge here. That's a better shot.
Definitely a better shot. However, she ball driving a little hard, left herself with a 4-pin.
Well, let's see. Next week, the Metroplex Open at the Advantages Bowling Center in DeSoto, Texas.
My good friend Sherry Slaughter putting that tournament on.
Following week down in Houston, right?
That's right.
Tempe, Chris and Wayne Zahns bowl in Tempe, and then off to Samstown in Las Vegas to wrap things up.
For the final event. And a wonderful tournament at Samstown.
And a big first place check.
That's right. A wonderful first place check.
Wrapping up the LPBT tour on ESPN here in 1989. Well, the crowd's kind of settled in on this one. Not sure which way to go, who to root for, and it's a close match.
Well, Denny, there was so much striking going on up to this point, and all of a sudden it's come to a dead halt. We haven't seen a strike yet out of the first 4 frames of both players. So out of 8 frames, you have not seen a strike.
Dreaded 8-10. Boy, it's a split you don't see very often anymore from the professionals who basically are throwing those urethane bowling balls, but it crops up at the absolute worst possible time for Carolyn Hodge in the 5th.
A lot of times what has happened is the player hits inside their mark when there is the oil in or lane conditioner heavy in the center. They hit inside and the ball just doesn't finish. Now it's the ball's job to take out or excuse me, the 5-pin's supposed to take out that 8-pin, and it just kind of floats right in front of it.
So from 245 now in her opening game to struggling to shoot 200 goes Carolyn Hodge. Let's see if Robin Romeo, ever the opportunist, takes advantage here. A little more direct line, hits the pocket and leaves the soft 10-pin. But I think Robin at this point would be content to just spare right off the sheet, Leila.
Well, it looks like if she does, she may end up winning this match, even though Robin's really not happy with what's happening. She kind of shook her head there, thinking that that ball was really going to finish. It didn't finish hard enough to get the 10 out. However, these are how her matches have been going this year. You know, really, Carolyn Hodge just came off of a 245 game, Denny. She's got 2 holes bowling a 170 pace against Robin. Now, what are the chances Dee Dee's over on the sidelines going, thanks a lot,
That's right.
Carolyn? You know.
If she gets by Carolyn Hodge, she figures she's got a great chance to win. If you look at her match play record in the championship round this year, Robin is 9-4, and again, you always have to look at that record. That's why players are successful in professional bowling. You have to win in the championship round.
But things just go your way. Sometimes players just don't bowl big games at you.
Plenty of loft, plenty of roll, and the best shot of the match thus far for Robin Romeo. It took her 5 frames to strike, but she finally does now in the 6th. A 20-pin lead, so for Carolyn Hodge, it's now or never.
It really is. Robin very close on lane 10 to lining in.
trip of the 4-pin that she's been waiting for.
Unable to do that last time on lane 10. She now trips the 4. You can see here the ball rolling pretty much end over end before it starts turning up. She was able to trip the 4. A little sigh of relief.
And a re-rack on lane 9.
Carolyn may have felt that the 8-10 really... Now, a lot of times you feel like you made a good shot, and the pins could have just been off spot just enough where the 5-pin doesn't take out the 8. And it happens a lot out here.
Trying to get something started in the late stages, and she trips out the 4 again. So a big break in the first smile that we've seen from Carolyn Hodge.
A big smile, and the most emotion we've seen from Carolyn Hodge as this ball goes pretty high, and really got away with one there as she tripped the 4. Safe.
Robin with a little extra stare on the right-hand lane, and there's the key double for, right now, the player of the year, Robin Romeo.
The concentration in Robin's eyes as we saw her setting up, going from the flat 10 to tripping the 4. So she made the adjustment. She was very aggressive on that shot. A lot of ball speed.
Almost willed that strike. You could see the determination in her face. She knew right then, hey, I've got a double here and keep control of this match.
Very, very important strike.
Good speed again on the left-hand lane, and Robin Romeo with a clutch 3-bagger now, leads by 30 and just says, all right, Carolyn, pressure's back on your shoulders.
Robin really wanting to break the record here tonight. She knew she was going to break the $100,000 record. She'd like to break Lisa's record with a win. She wanted to take next week off, give her leg time to really heal. And the pressure on Carolyn there is she really pulled that one inside her target.
Thumped all the way down, and so a baby split left. Key right now, convert it, and at least it gives you an outside chance of hanging on.
It would really be tough to be up against Robin Romeo right now on a night like this, Denny. You know she's really going for it, and never being on television before. It's got to be very difficult for Carolyn.
Key shot. Will it roll up? Yes, it does. So Carolyn Hodge keeps the hopes alive, although they are fading at this point.
The best possible score Carolyn Hodge can shoot right now is 200 if she strikes in the 9th and strikes out in the 10th. And here's a perfect conversion as the ball hits both the 3 and the 10 pin. Robin Romeo basically having to stay clean at least one of the next 2 frames.
Yep. That's if Carolyn doesn't strike out.
Right.
Needs this one. And at the last moment doesn't get it. So for Carolyn Hodge, it's time to think about what might have been.
Well, some of the best players finished second their first times on television. Lisa Wagner.
Where'd you finish your first trip?
4th.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. Right here in Rockford, Illinois, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Where'd you qualify?
I think 5th.
So you won your first match?
No, I lost. I don't remember, but I...
So you qualified 4th and you lost your match?
Exactly. I remember Shinobu Saito beat me. I shot 230.
And you lost?
238, and she shot 248 or something. That was 1979.
Thank you very much.
10 years
1979,
ago.
you were only 9 years old then. How could that have... And your mother let you come out on the tour? Oh, well.
I wish.
Robin Romeo in the driver's seat. And she's been at the head of the class all year long. Plenty of room. Almost leads to 245. And at this point in time for her, it's just make the spare and then get out the calculator.
Well, that was the key, Denny, here in the first 5 frames. Neither player really striking. Robin, however, picking up her spares. Now, she left a very difficult bucket. In the 3rd frame, she converted it. And she just stayed clean versus throwing those splits. And that's a big part of match play.
And she's been a tremendous spare shooter throughout her career, especially this year. And now it's just a question of count. basically. 189 would be the top score for Carolyn Hodge. Just stay behind the foul line for Robin Romeo and knock down some pins, and that's all she wrote.
We shouldn't say that. We've seen a few of those things happen earlier this year, but Robin is not a player that usually fouls. So.
No, I wouldn't think so. Not a shot you'd normally be really crazy about, but it's more than enough to win as Robin Romeo sets the all-time record earnings-wise. And Robin looks at the score and says, oh, wait a minute, let me check. There you saw the eyes and the sigh of relief as we'll get a chance to chat with Robin. We've got a few minutes left here in the telecast. We'll get her impressions of setting the all-time record.
Well, we mentioned it last year when Lisa was getting ready to break the record, Denny. We want to see this. It just means that there's more and more prize money coming out here on the women's tour. There's more events. And, you know, I hope it gets broken every year.
And I think really she is surpassing even her wildest dreams, because when you asked her, Robin, did you expect this? Not really. I knew I was playing well, but never in my wildest dreams did I think I would win over $100,000 in a season. And she finishes off the way that she would like to with a strike. So it's a big victory for Robin Romeo, and a hug from Tori Romeo, her younger sister.
Tori out here on tour, her rookie season.
What else her big sisters are for, huh? Now she can set the goals, and Tori perhaps could end up becoming a player to win over $100,000. For Carolyn Hodge, it was an interesting experience. She'll finish up second and collect a nice check worth $5,000. We'll be back with the all-time record holder, Robin Romeo, after these messages. Well, they're finally excited here for Robin Romeo, who becomes the all-time leading money winner in a single season. Robin, did you ever think it was going to happen?
No, I never did, and being #1 seed, I knew I had a good shot, and I was really nervous tonight, and I'm just happy that I won.
Well, another gentleman that's been very nervous throughout the week is John Wonders, the president of Fab-Ball, and John has a beautiful trophy to present to our latest winner, Robin Romeo.
Robin, congratulations. Great bowling all week. On behalf of Dennis, Earl Whitman, my partner in Florida, Dave Hardy, and all employees of Fab-Ball, congratulations.
Thank you, John. I just want to thank Hammer. Hammer has supported us women for a real long time, and I've always wanted one of these trophies, and thank you very much.
All right, and now the president of the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour, John Falzone, with a rather large check to present to the all-time leading money winner, John.
Congratulations, Robin. Just an outstanding week, and we at the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour are very proud of you, and much success the rest of the year. First place prize, Hammer Midwest Open, $10,000.
Thank you, John, and I'd like to thank everybody here at Cherry Bowl. They've been great, and that's it. I don't know what else to say. I'm really nervous tonight.
All you have to say now is, where are the accountants? Because I'll need them to check my taxes here in 1989. That's all the time we have here from Cherry Valley, Illinois. So long, everyone.